Okay, I think we're live. At least the program tells me that YouTube tells me that I'm live. It must be that I'm live. Hello, chat. How's it going? How's your day have been? Were you watching Conan the Barbarian with me? I hope you were, because it was very interesting seeing how they made movies in the 80s. It looks like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but one of those really cliche ones, like a Japanese role-playing game. You know, the party gathers and you have the king giving you a quest. But what I was interested by it was very little dialogue, almost no dialogue whatsoever, and somehow the movie was enjoyable. But we'll talk about Conan in a little bit. First, I want to tell you what I'm dealing with right now. Hiring people. Hiring people is a very bizarre experience. You know, one of the things that I really hate about corporations is when you meet the HR and the HR tells you like, oh, don't call us, we'll call you. And they have like the HR speak. I'm starting to have it, chat. Starting to get the HR speak, and I'm worried. I am concerned. I do not know what to do in order to get rid of it now. Because I got many people contacting me. And some people, you know, really good, amazing. Maybe price was too high. Or other people, they were really bad, chat. They were really bad. Coming at me with doodles. And, you know, they're subscribers, right? Like, they like you. And I appreciate it. It's like, it's not their fault that they're doodling. Like, maybe they're at the start. Maybe, you know, they're enthusiastic about the project or whatever. But you have to tell them no. And it's kind of difficult, you know? And you're like, well, and I don't want to tell them that their art is bad. But at the same time, I want them to know. So you're like, well, you know, we'll see. I will put it in the pile, and we're going to get back to you. And I am transgendering into the HR lady. It is very difficult. But now I do understand how it's like on the opposite side, you know? Yeah, like, I mean, sure, you can tell them it's like your art is shite, but like, sometimes it's not that the art is shite, but it's like not what you're looking for right now. Like, you're looking for something specific, and their art may be good, but it's not what you're looking for. Or their art is good for, let's say, deviant art level, right? Like, it's really well polished, but like for that space. But you need something more in your game because you expect people to pay money for it, so you can't really get that. Or maybe they're not in tune with the other artists, because that's another thing. Like, when you have a video game, all the artists need to be able to draw kind of similarly. So it is difficult. Yes, I do need to have the corpo speak now. Knowing when to say no is a bit... No, you can say no, but you... Like, here's the problem, right? Like, let's say an artist comes to you, and they're really shit, and you're like, your art is shite, mate. And they get upset, right? So they talk to their other artist friends, and they're like, V is an asshole, don't work with him. Like, that's the thing, right? And I don't want to be mean to them, because it's like, everyone starts somewhere. Like, I do understand that. Right, like when I started doing YouTube videos, they were much lower quality than these ones, if you believe. But I don't want to discourage people to pursue their dreams or whatnot. You know, like, everyone starts somewhere, and their art may be shite now, but like in the future it can be better. So it is what it is. Going to Conan, from Conan to anime, no, I usually ramble in the first 30 minutes of the stream. Why are you asking, Sok and Pupe? Are you new to my streams? You know that the first 30 minutes we talk about random stuff. And then in the last 30 minutes we talk about the title. We will be talking about Conan. Just you wait. Pray to Crom was the longest dialogue. You're trying to get me to talk about Conan. I will not talk about Conan for the first 30 minutes of the stream. Instead, we will be talking about something else that's interesting. What happened in the world. We always do that in the streams. Look at this. This is absolutely beautiful. Like, if I want to get advice about economics and finances, I go to Business Insider. And who does Business Insider choose to teach us about finances? Well, this gentleman, anti-capitalist financial planner, explains how to make ethically sound investments. When I hear the word ethically, I don't think it goes hand in hand with sound investments, right? Like, sound investments means I'm going to get money back. I do not care about ethics, right? The only thing I care is it legal? If the answer is yes, the next question is, will it give me money? If the answer is yes to that, sign me up. Anti-capitalist. Anti-capitalist finance. Can anyone name me, I'm really curious, a country that's anti-capitalist and is very rich? To be honest, I don't think we have capitalist countries today. Even the United States considers itself to be a mixed economy. So, I'm really curious if there is a capitalist country in the world right now. But I'm definitely sure that any anti-capitalist countries, you know, like, oh, viva la revolucion, haha. Yeah, those aren't very profitable. They're not very wealthy. So, the last advice that I want to take is from a person that claims themselves to be an anti-capitalist. I'm really curious. Shut up. Iran is not anti-capitalist. I mean, Muslim nations, they're a theocracy. I suppose, like, if you have oil in the ground, right, then that bypasses your the economics. Because, like, if there's literally oil in the ground and you have money buried under your country, then that's different, right? Like, you can have whatever economic system you want at that point. Because everyone wants your oil. Except for Venezuela. Like, somehow Venezuela managed to fuck that up. I don't know how they did it, but, like, congratulations, Venezuela. Your socialism managed to fuck up your country, even though you have oil. Like, that's interesting. Maybe do a minimum viable product before you go look for artists. Some game ideas sound good at first, but boring when implemented. Dubai has oil in the ground, man. Venezuela is resource rich while per capita poor. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. But it's not the thing with the poor capita, right? Like, they're not exploiting their wealth. That's the problem. They lack the technology required in order to exploit their wealth. So it's not necessarily like, cause for example, the Congo Kings, right? It's Black History Month. We have to talk about them. So the Portuguese Empire had a monopoly on slaves, because the way they would do it is like they allied themselves with the Congo Kings. And the Congo Kings would capture slaves from various conflicts, or, you know, imprison even their own population for crimes. And they were the only ones that would sell slaves to the Islamic Empire and to the Europeans, right? But in order to do that, they would sell them to the Portuguese first, and then the Portuguese would sell them further. So the Congo Kings didn't really have, like, they were wealthy beyond belief, right? Like, if you go to Portugal right now, you can go into some museums, you can even see members of the Congo King aristocracy hanging in the walls of those museums, right? Because they were really important at the time. But the people living in their nation, they were poor. They weren't spreading the wealth, right? So it was very similar to how Saudi Arabia is today. Hello, Razmaz. How's it going? Theocratic nations probably cannot count as capitalistic either, as religion is not voluntary. Yeah, I do not count theocratic nations as capitalistic either, but, like, they're not Marxist, is what I wanted to say, right? Like, when you see someone with blue hair and talking about anti-capitalism, you're talking to a commie. And funny enough, like, religion actually can create stable communities much better than Marxism can. Like, for example, the Amish, right? Like, the Amish are a stable community. Everyone can, like, if you hate capitalism, you can become an Amish. Literally, no one stops you from doing that. Anyway. Let's see what else we got today. So that was funny. This happened, right? Black History Month, again. Which means that you're not allowed to have watermelon and chicken. Launch menu controversy. While our menu was not intended as a cultural meal, we acknowledge that the timing was inappropriate, and our team should have been more thoughtful of its service. I don't really understand, like, this American mentality, man. Like, it really boggles my mind. I do not know, like, okay, so Romanians eat sarmale. Alright, like, it's a Romanian dish. Let me bring it up. Here we go. So it's like cabbage wrapped around minced meat with various spices. It's very delicious, right? Now, if I go to America and people would start calling me sarmale, okay, fine. Like, I can get why that's annoying. But, like, if it's Romanian Appreciation Day and you have this type of dish at school. It's like, why would it be a problem? The thing is, Romanians who go abroad, they start missing the taste of the food that they grew up with. So like, this is why when you go to the UK, because it's something that I never understood. It's like, you go to the UK and you see like a Romanian restaurant and it's filled with Romanians, and you're like, well, why the fuck are you going there? Like, why can't you eat somewhere else? Like, you went to another country. Like, there's a whole culinary experience delight for you to enjoy, and they're going to the Romanian restaurant. Why? It's because they miss the food at home, right? So this explains why there's a lot of marketing when it comes to KFC towards the black population, right? Because I do not understand why it's even considered racist to suggest this. Like, if this is the type of food you grow up with at home, right? Like, if this is the food your mama makes, of course you're going to go out and try to eat more of that. But no, apparently it's racist. Okay, fine. So this school, which I assume probably has a lot of black people in it, and I do not think that this is exactly the way the food looked. But like, this school has black people in it, probably serves this food on a regular basis because the students like it. And now that it's Black History Month, they're supposed to not serve it anymore, right? And why? Because probably one or two people complained. Like, I'm willing to bet it's not even the overwhelming majority. Like, it's not even like half that complained about this. So the controversy is completely artificial. But you get to see it now and then. You know, like, I remember when KFC made a commercial with like the black fist coming out of the chicken. I mean, okay, that was improper, right? But they are trying to market to the black population. I assume there is an economic reason for it. Was Colonel Sanders a plantation owner? I don't think Colonel Sanders was a plantation owner. I think like he had quite a poor life from what I understand. Because I worked at KFC. They actually teach you the history of Colonel Sanders. I know, right? Like, so you go to work at KFC, you want to flip that chicken. And they're like, let us tell you about the history of the great Colonel. And I'm like, fucking hell, really? So, if I remember correctly, right? Unless this is what they told me. Like, they may have lied. I haven't fact-checked them. But, like, he had a really poor life for most of it. And it's only when he was older that he started frying chicken. And it was so good because he used, like, his mother recipe or something. Like, he wasn't frying it the way it's supposed to be fried, right? He had, like, his different method. And the restaurant was very proud in the fact that he was frying it by hand. Like, this was... Like, he never used, I don't know, like, an automated way of doing it. Like, he always did it by hand, so... Yeah. I don't know if Colonel Sanders ever served watermelon. I don't even eat watermelon. I don't like it, but like, whatever. They are very tasty, just that I don't see that as purely Romanian, rather a solid case where cultural exchange can be... No, sarmale aren't very Romanian. They're from Turkey, I believe. Like, the Turks made them, but like, they do not eat them as often as Romanians. It's kind of like tea, you know, like tea isn't made in Britain, but like if you go to Britain, everyone drinks tea, so like tea becomes a British thing. Anywho. Yeah, literally KFC re-education camp. I have to go through that. So, let's look at something else now. Another video game, like, you know, it's those American months now. Like every single corporation has to say that they're supporting whatever month it is. It's just... Black History Month in Ark Survival Evolved. Ark Survival Evolved is a video game that is renowned for being new player unfriendly, right? Like, the whole video game is about people going, burning down someone else's house, murdering them, and stealing their shit. What did the developers mean by this? Like, why are the developers doing this? I do not understand. It's very inappropriate. Have you guys played Ark Survival? Like, that's my experience. Every time I try to build something, without exception, I build something up, other players destroy it, they loot it, and then I have to respawn. Without exception. On every server, every single time, like, the game is made for twats. Okay, I get that maybe it's funny when you actually have... But no, actually, no, it's not funny even then. Like, I do not enjoy games where, like, one side bullies the other and there's no recourse. Right? So, like, I like games where both opponents have, like, equal force and it takes intelligence to beat them. But there is no intelligence. It's like being the first on the server joining or joining a clan or whatever, and then just bullying the new people. You only watch streamer play. It's kind of like Minecraft, I guess. It's kind of like Rust. Actually, it's almost identical to Rust. It's basically like a game where you build stuff, right? And you ride dinosaurs. Is there a whip emote in Ark? No, you don't have emotes. But I think you can build a whip if you want to. That poster looks like a Captain Planet. My fucking god, I just realized. Hold on. No fucking way. No fucking way. No fucking way. It can't be this Sal. It fucking is. Holy shit. Holy shit. Okay, so Captain Planet uses the Marxist gesture with the raised fist. I just realized it for that. Oh my fucking god. Do you think it's intentional? Right? Because I don't want to be like a social justice activist that like sees something and I'm like, well, you know, like, did they do this because it looks cool? Or did they do this because, like, they wanted to, I suppose, like, push for the Marxist gesture? The thing is, like, if it was, let's say that they did the Hitler salute while somebody Captain Planet, right? So they had to stretch their hands out, right? And it was like a forward salute. Let's say they did that, right? Do you not think the social justice activists would freak the fuck out? Even if it was intentional or not intentional? But now that I'm looking at it, I genuinely think it's intentional. I do think that they really went for this. Like, they wanted to have, like, the Marxist fist, the revolutionary fist. And I believe it because, like, the people making this, right? Like, they were left-leaning. There is even like and all the leftist talking points on it. There's even a point where Wheeler marries Linka. No, Linka was it, yeah? And they're having children, and everyone is complaining that they're having too many kids. Like, that's a talking point. That's an episode in Captain Planet. Most of the conversations are against capitalism as well. Like, capitalism is wasteful, destructive, kills Mother Gaia. Yeah, Captain Planet, like, man. When you look at Captain Planet when you're a kid, you do not notice this because you don't know politics, right? But when you look at an episode of Captain Planet now, it's woke as fuck, man. Like, it's probably one of the most woke cartoons that I have seen. I do have to say that it's done good, right? Like, they do it in a good way so that it's not obnoxious. But again, like, the talking points that they're having, and it's so one-sided. There's no two sides of the same issue. They're basically, oh, radiation, bad. You know, like, there's a villain that has radiation. Like, don't you dare build nuclear power, bad, right? Like, do not have nuclear power at all. Nukes, bad. America should destroy its nuclear system. Only Russia should have nukes. Right, it is what. Hello, Luciano. Welcome to the chat. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Those cartoons were boring, much like... No, like... But the thing with Captain Planet, again, I watched it recently. Because I was curious, you know, like, what did I like when I was a kid? So it was really well drawn. None of the characters were insufferable. Like, they actually had good dialogue. But the message was fucked up. Like, every single episode, I'm looking and I'm cringing. Not to mention, like, Captain Planet himself. He is so poorly written. Like every single episode... He's just overpowered as fuck. Like, he does literally everything that's required to do in order to defeat the villain. And he doesn't really have, like, superpowers that are, like, classic. You know, like Superman, right? He has laser vision, super hearing, right? Super strength. No, like, Captain Planet can literally turn into a tornado if he wants to, right? Like, he can go through the center of the earth and come out on the other side if he wants to. Like, he's got absolutely no limits. He's overpowered as fuck. He can even use telepathy. Like, there is nothing that he cannot do. The only... And he's got, like, such a weird weakness. Just throw some smudge over him and say, oh, the pollution. Oh, the pollution. I can't move. Ah. And then the Planeteers come and they throw a bucket of water over him. And it's like, oh, my powers have returned. And I'm, like, thinking, like, okay. How many times did the villains fight him by now? Just take a water gun. Fill it with some shit. Or oil or whatever, And then whenever Captain Planet comes, just spray it on him. And if the Planeteers throw the bucket of water, spray him with oil again. Every single episode goes by this formula. Literally, every single one. The Captain Planet gets hit with a spot. You know, he's summoned. He's able to single-handedly defeat the villain, but like the villain manages to spray him with some smudge. And then Captain Planet goes down, the villain's like, haha, I defeated you, Captain Planet. And then like the Planeteers don't have access to the powers, and they get locked up somewhere, but then they escape, and then they throw a bucket of water over Captain Planet. It's like, finally, I got my powers back. Time to fight against capitalism. Time to bring Marxism amongst the plebs. I did like the Asian chick with the power of water. I think her name was Gi. And I think she may have been Chinese or South Korean. I don't know. It was Americans after the war that made it illegal in Europe. What, like nuclear power? I don't think that's true. It's the exact same formula as Power Rangers. Power must combine. Power Rangers had a different formula, actually. But, like, I just do not understand what I saw in it when I was a kid. It's probably because every other cartoon was boring as fuck. Look up Captain Planet's Sexu Lobster. You can even react to it. The creator is fine with it. Alright. Let's see. I do not want to click anything that comes from Greasy Tales because I know what they are. And I might get in trouble. Like, when they were made, it was 11 years ago. YouTube's TOS was different. But I do not want to know if I can play them now. I will have to watch it after the stream and see if it's safe. By the way, the word safe, you know what annoys me? Is like how the left steals language. Because it's got nothing to do with safety. It means approved. That's what it means, right? So, like, safe means approved by authority. By the way, look at this. This is from Walt Disney. Holy shit.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country.
Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First there was rice, tobacco, sugar cane. Then Whitney did his thing and cotton became king.
And we were its soldiers,
4 million strong.
fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's slaves.
Built this country. The descendants of slaves continue to build this.
Slaves built this country. And we, the descendants of...
Right, so the left doesn't understand why a lot of people are upset that their children are being exposed to this, considering that this is on Disney Channel. And they are saying, oh, so you don't want your children to know about American history, right? First of all, what is being said here is a little bit controversial, right? And I can prove to you, as a Romanian, I'm not an American. So I have no horse in this race. But if it's true, right? Like if slaves built America, why isn't Africa a nation rivaling with the United States when it comes to economic power right now? The Congo kings, again, going back to them, were some of the most influential and rich people during the colonial era, right? They were... You could compare them with the Saudi Arabians now, right? What happened? Why don't Americans study a little bit of history? So, the reason that people are upset is not because you're presenting this argument, but you're presenting it from a one-sided way as if it's factual and there is nothing else that can contradict it, right? So, look at the characters. Like, they're very arrogant, right? Like, you have children, right? Which are incredibly arrogant and very... How should I put it? Know-it-all, right? And then the adults themselves, the adults are shocked about this. It's like, wow. The adults are mind-blown. Like, they've never heard these arguments before. They have absolutely nothing to say. There is absolutely no retort. There is nothing in the English language that can counter any of these claims, right? Now, no one is saying, from what I can tell, like, there's no one in the United States right now that is either minority or majority, which would say that slavery didn't happen or that slavery wasn't bad. Like, all these arguments exist, and they're right. But to say that slavery built the United States, like from 0 to 100%, that is a little bit disingenuous, I would say, right? Especially because every nation in the world had slaves. I mean, there's even some parts of Africa right now that has slaves and child labor and stuff. Why isn't that building the new Chat GPT? But anyway, so they also say that America is about white supremacy, and then they say that the slaves should get reparations, right? So absolutely no reference to counter-arguments, no reference to Thomas Sowell, nothing, right? They talk about Juneteenth and whatever. So this is why people are upset. It's because it's not teaching kids. You're telling them that this is the only truth, and there is no other explanation or retort. You're telling them that America is evil, that their history is made out of evil. And if you're a black person, it tells you that, well, you're being oppressed, right? And you can't empower yourself. Like, there's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is to support this ideology, right? Like, donate more money to this ideology, and eventually maybe some white politicians that happen to be Democrats are going to get into positions of power, and then they are going to empower you. The Bantu expansion, Africa, by the way, Africa does have a space program. I don't know why people... So African nations recently, a couple of them, Botswana, for example, but there are more. I would even say South Africa, right? Like, there are nations that are becoming more and more better places to live in. But not only that, they do have space programs, yes. I would have to look it up. I think South Africa has a space program. I would have to look at it. But I know for sure that in Africa, there are nations that do. And, you know, as the world recovers economically from the pandemic, well, not the pandemic itself, but the pandemic measures, you're going to see that some nations in Africa are going to rise. And I don't know how that is going to be like, because they're not... Right, you don't have to necessarily think about the fact that they're going to have, like, democracy and they're going to be structured exactly the same like Western countries are. They may have, like, a completely different form of government. They may even have, like, massive wealth disparity and authoritarianism. But they are going to be able to compete with some European nations. Anyway, who... the more powerful, the flag of Romania or Chad? Yeah, so Chad and Romania share the same flag. There was actually an international dispute about it, but it was solved peacefully. And they can now have the same flag. The difference is in the color of blue. Like, the blue in Chad is a little bit more light than the blue in Romania. Egypt has a space... Yeah, like, having a space program is not something that difficult. It's just that many countries consider it a waste of resources. Like, no one is trying to colonize the moon yet, right? No one knows how to do space mining yet. If people were to know how to do space mining... And by the way, I'll tell you why Africa has a space program. It's a lot cheaper to launch rockets closer to the equator than it is to launch them from any other place. So I think, like, there is the Russian space program, which is near... a nation with K, not Kosovo. God damn it, I forgot. When I remember, I'll tell you. But yeah, to launch them from Africa is a lot cheaper. Let me actually check. So Africa space program. List of space agencies in Africa. So more than 20 national space agencies or space-related institutions have been established in the continent of Africa in the past 5 years or so. The South African National Space Agency, it's called. So South Africa has a space program, and they're researching in lunar exploration with a brand new communication site that will support Artemis, including missions to return humans to the moon and enable exploration beyond. Yeah. So there you go. No, it's not Kenya. It's not Kazakhstan. Or actually, I think it's Kazakhstan. Soviet Cosmodrome. The world's first spaceport for orbital and human launches. It is in Kazakhstan, yes. So Kazakhstan is actually a very important nation because of that. I know this because I'm playing Terra Invicta, and the first thing you want to do in video games is to get boost. And you get boost by conquering African nations. Oh, not conquering. You subvert them. You push your ideology, right? Because Terra Invicta is about an ideology. So you play with a faction that has an ideology, a specific view on the aliens, and you try to influence different nations. And you try to gain control of African nations because they have a lot of boost because they're close to the equator, and you also try to take Kazakhstan. They sent an orca to the moon. Jesus Christ. I think like the worst thing that they did was sending a dog in space. Like that was the most fucked up. The Russians did it, right? So they sent a dog in space. Dog probably died during launch off, like during takeoff. Like they didn't even get the scientific experiment they wanted. Terra Invicta is the game. You have a faction. So the aliens are the aliens are visiting Earth, right? And you don't know whether or not they're hostile, but they seem to be. And you have like different factions. You have a faction that believes the aliens need to be exterminated. You have a faction that just wants to take advantage of the situation and sell stuff to people. You have a faction that believes that the aliens are the saviors and you should worship them, right? So based on the faction that you pick, you gain control of operatives, which can be journalists, judges, politicians, actors, and your goal in the beginning is to influence other nations. Like you're trying to subvert world governments with your ideology. And once the government is subverted enough, you have corruption there, and you can use your influence in order to like subtract money from that government to your funding, or to build stuff like forward the space research program. So like you're trying to get into space basically in order to fight the aliens. It's a good game. It's an interesting 4X game. Anywho, we should talk about Conan now, right? It's been 30 minutes. We're talking about Conan. I like Conan. I don't know why. But maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia, right? I would probably not like a movie like Conan to be made today. But from what I noticed, like almost the entire film was action. Probably why they call it action movies, right? Like they don't do movies like that anymore. What the fuck is wrong with me? I feel like coughing and I can't stop. Okay. So, Conan had a lot of action. Very little dialogue. Kind of like a Rambo movie, if I think about it. Like there was Rambo 3, I think. No, Rambo 4. Like Rambo 4 was the same, the Last Blood one. Barely any lines from Rambo, just like gunning down people and blood and stuff, and it's kind of upsets Mueller, I guess. There's nothing that he can comment about the movie, eh? But what I liked also is how cheesy it was. Like there were so many things that just didn't make sense, like Conan just impregnating women everywhere. Like how many women did he impregnate throughout the whole movie? 3, right? At least that we know of. And probably 4 with the princess in the sequel. Because like there's another movie that comes after this one. And like the succubus there made absolutely no sense, right? Like Conan is walking and then there's like this woman in a hut. Like she was there for titillation alone. Just literally that. And I'm thinking there are 3 reasons why people were attracted to movies. Horror, titillation, and hatred. If you have one of these things, it makes a good movie. If you have all 3 of them, it can make an excellent movie. I'm not saying that these are necessarily required, but they do help. So what I mean by this, hatred. If you have a movie that has like a really interesting villain, Joffrey, Ramsay Snow. If you have a movie with those, then you're going to have people watching, right? Like they're going to hate watch in a way, right? Like they want to see Joffrey being taken down. They want to see Ramsay Snow defeated. So that's the first thing, like hatred. The second one is horror. If you have a good horror movie, people are going to watch it. But I'm not talking in horror as in jump scares, like boo. I'm talking like thriller, right? So if it's a little bit of a thriller, and you know, like the tension is there, like you don't know what's going to happen next. It's like at any moment something can happen. Not necessarily like someone dying or a jump scare, but it keeps you on the edge. It's like you want to see what's happening next. It's like Attack on Titan, right? So Attack on Titan has this. Like you don't know what's beyond the wall. It's horrible. You know it's bad behind the wall, but you're curious. You want to keep watching so you can find out. And then the third one is titillation, right? Like I don't have to explain that sex sells. So if you have all three of them, you get American slasher movies. American slasher movies, which are very popular and known around the world, like Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, or whatever the fuck his name was, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Like, what do? They mix all of these three things, right? Like, they have titillation. It's the teenagers in the woods. Like, all of these American movies, they have a sexy woman that is probably half naked, going into the swimming pool, when the killer is coming over there, right? So the reason they have that is for the titillation, to put it on the posters. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. And then you have, Attack on Titan did become boring after the revelation, because that was what kept people in. It's the dread, right? Like you're curious, like what's beyond the wall, what's happening? Like there's Titans over there, they're killing everyone. Like how will they get out of it? But the moment like they manage to overpower the Titans and the Titans don't become a threat, Attack on Titan gets a little bit more boring, and a lot of people are complaining about that, which proves my point. But anyway, right, so in slasher movies you have the titillation, you have the horror, right, because it's the killer, and you also, in some of them, you like Friday the 13th, you even have the person to hate, like Jason Voorhees' mother, right? Like no one liked her as a character. Like people found her annoying for good reason. The countries that are closed to the equator have the least resistance and are easier and ships to space. Yeah, okay, it's true. This has been known for millennia. Yeah, but now it's becoming unknown, right? Like now it's becoming something that people don't want you to know. So I looked at the responses that the Last of Us 2 got, right? So, sorry, not the Last of Us movie got. So the Last of Us movies, for those of you, TV show, sorry, not movie. The Last of Us TV show, the episode 3 of it, for those of you who are unaware, the director made an interview where he said that he snuck a sex scene in, right? He put a gay scene in the show to trick audience, right? So according to him, it's like putting the carrot inside the brownie in order to trick the child, right? To get the child to eat the carrot. And that was offensive on many levels. Like, I do not appreciate the fact that the director thinks of me like a child. Right? Like, if I want to consume the product, like, he's going to force me to have something that I don't like. But the question is, like, why didn't the people like the gay sex scene? Right? So there's two reasons. Like, number one, there's no titillation in it. Right? You're watching old people fuck. Like, even gay people, I don't think, enjoy that. It's like literally watching watching old people have sex. This is like me showing an elderly couple on television having sex. And then when people don't like it, I would say, oh, look, America is so possessed by progressive ideology that they cannot watch a wholesome romance scene. It's not about that. It's the fact that, like, if you're going to show on television fetishes or sexualities that do not resonate with the overwhelming audience, they're not going to like that. Like, so this is why, like, when you show slasher films, right? Like, everything is vanilla. The girls there, you know, they're designed, so the actresses are chosen in a way that appeals to the overwhelming majority of the audience, right? Like, women wouldn't be offended if they see, like, a pretty high school girl having sex with Chad, and Chad wouldn't be offended if he sees Stacy, right? Like, they are designed in a way to be as least offensive. Now, is there someone that may have, like, some sexuality where they don't like any straight sex? Maybe, I don't know. But there's a reason why it's called vanilla. It's because it appeals to everyone. Now, if you go to the fringes of human sexuality, and by fringe I mean like something that most people aren't into, you risk alienating those people, which is what the director knew, which is why he didn't add that scene in it. But, like, most people aren't upset about the fact that the sex scene is gay, because, like, almost every single TV show has gay people in it now. Like, I can't think of anything in 2023 that doesn't have at least one gay character in it. The problem is that all of the others do not show the actual thing on television, right? Like, they do not show the actual fucking on TV, while this one did. And there is another problem, right? Like, your show is supposed to be about the apocalypse. So you're supposed to build tension, drama. You're supposed to show that people are having a hard time. Yet that scene, from what I understood, was about two people living in a farm, and everything is fine. Like, there's running water, they're having baths, there's only one zombie that appears, right? So, if I choose to watch a movie about the apocalypse, then I want to see the apocalypse. I do not like this bait and switch. I personally don't even like romantic movies. So, like, if you're showing me romance, I don't like it. Like, you're wasting my time. You promised that you're going to give me an adventure about the apocalypse. And instead you're showing me romance. Why are you doing that? Well, right? It's a complete waste of my time, and I do not appreciate it. Tumblr orientations. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They ran out of loop. Did that happen? I have not watched the episode 3. I am dodging these shows like Goku with Ultra Instinct, right? Because like the director was like, haha, I tricked you. And I'm like, joke's on you, motherfucker. I haven't watched it since episode 1. You can't trick me if I don't watch it. Drama. The actual vanilla romance, they destroyed their... The thing is, like, I don't mind some romance in a post-apocalyptic scenario, but when the entire episode is romance, that's cringe, bro. And there's another thing as well. Thank you for the $5, Crafty Huragok. Money for you, doctor. Visit V, you sound like you can need it. Come to chat. Money for you, doctor. Visit V, you sound like you need it. Come on, chat. Help if you can. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will use the money in order to invest into my video game. Where was I? Oh, yes. If you want to do LGBT right in The Last of Us, you can even make it that's lore friendly. So, from what I understand, all those people are in a small community, and the biggest problem that they would have is lack of resources, right? So, beyond that, when you have a child, it's very difficult because the kid cries, can attract zombies. So if you're thinking about that particular universe, gay people would be encouraged because they're less likely to have kids. And they're less likely to have a population increase, right? I mean, this is literally what I would think would happen if you have like a small society that's fighting for resources. They would have like not necessarily ban people from having children, but they would discourage people from having kids. And it would be heavily encouraged, like, to be a couple that doesn't, or to have, like, a boyfriend or girlfriend that's the same sex as you. Yes, I am making a game. Apparently, the only problem that fans have with that scene is that Druckmann wasn't in it. You know, like, Druckmann didn't have a self-insert in that scene. Because apparently people are saying that Druckmann did have a self-insert in the scene from the games. And I looked at it, and my god, did it not look like very similar to Druckmann. They need more kids to make up for the ones that died? I don't know, Ben. I don't think so. The way the community is displayed, like, people from within the community don't seem to be quite affected. But children apparently make a lot of noise, and they cost resources. So no, I do not think, like again, I don't think that they would ban having kids, right? Like no one would tell you you're not allowed. But like if you choose not to, I think people would be happier, right? Like they would encourage that, because now, well, there's less noise if the zombies are coming. You watched me play The Last of Us. Yeah, I remember. Jesus fucking Christ. The thing with The Last of Us, like, it had some good parts. Like, I liked when you go into the hospital and you go underground and you're fighting that massive zombie. Like, that was really cool. And I also liked the bridge with the sniper. when you're fighting against Joel's brother. Like, that was also cool. So they managed to get those two right. But, like, everything else was really bad. You are wrong. Kids have always been a problem and a danger. Yeah, but, like, in an apocalypse scenario with zombies, I think, like, the danger and the problem would be astonishing. So, like, for the first few years, I do think that people would choose not to have kids. Like, if you're literally, like, a Walking Dead scenario, and you're hunted all the freaking time, right? Like, if you're a woman and you get pregnant, that's probably a death sentence in that situation. So, yeah, like, maybe not in the few years, but, like, when things normalize and stabilize, then. The world has never stopped being an apocalypse scenario. Dude, I don't think we have zombies yet. Like, when we have zombies, I will change my mind on this. Need a second monitor for the game. Oh, wow. Do I need a second monitor to run Minecraft? Okay, let's see what else we got. Maybe we can find some more interesting news. Oh, look. I have found the perfect example which describes Twitter. So I do not know who this person is, but I assume it's a journalist. This was Twitter, right? This was Twitter. Republican politicians saying we should just shoot down the spy balloon don't understand the complexity of the situation. Do they think they know more than the professionals in our military? So this is like literally the leftist mindset, right? Like the professionals, they're like robots. They do not have like self-serving agendas. They can never be incompetent, right? Like the professionals exist for your own good. Like human corruption doesn't exist in the leftist mindset, right? Like the professionals are the all-knowing be-knowing. At this point, I don't understand why I don't just allow the military to run the country. Like, because they're the professionals, right? Except when it comes to cops. When it comes to cops, it's not like that. You know, like the cops are professionals for catching bad guys, but the journalists seem to know better, right? Like the journalists always second guess the cops. They all, oh, okay, fine. But like, look at this, right? So Republican politicians, they don't know better than the military. And literally 38 minutes apart, like look at this. Look at it, just literally 38 minutes apart. The Chinese spy balloon has been shot down. Thank you to President Biden and importantly to our terrific military. This is Twitter, chat. This is how can you have a conversation with these individuals? Again, do not contact Harry. I do not know who he is, but he is like a representative of what I see on Twitter every fucking day. It's like taking money, man. It's like a software update. Literally like a software update. You think there's no zombies? Look up Jean 1P36. Oh, fine. There's not as many as in The Walking Dead. I'll look at it after the video, but like. It is just like that. Like usually you see someone that contradicts themselves after 1 or 2 years, right? And it's understandable. It's like, okay, well, this person may have changed his mind. Sometimes you see someone contradicting themselves a couple of months. And you're like, oh, well, you know, they're being hypocrites, but at least, you know, they're hoping that people have forgotten. But when you see someone contradicting themselves after a few fucking minutes, it's just, God. And you're realizing it's like, okay, but like these people, they engage in conversations. No wonder they piss people off on Twitter. Evil Kitty of Doom? Oh my god, I actually missed Evil Kitty of Doom. I remember you used to donate to me. I remember seeing you in the chat. So... New doc stuff? What? Nani? Zombies are invaders. No, zombies are not invaders. Right? Aliens would be invaders. Like a movie where aliens from Mars are coming. Zombies are actually more terrifying because it can be your loved ones. Right? Like zombies can be anyone. It can be your friend. It can be your mother. They're horrifying in that way. And if you want like a metaphor, it's like being ideologically possessed. You know, it's like you don't even recognize that person anymore. Yeah, NPC update. Military is number one. Man, did you guys see the... I showed it live stream, but like Biden being so happy that they shot down that balloon. Like it was just mind-boggling. It's almost like he managed to successfully withdraw from Afghanistan or something. I was watching it and I couldn't believe it. It was like really... Like he was so freaking happy that he popped it. And from what I understand, it cost like $200,000, the missile they used to pop it. Right? So, not very cost effective either. Hey V, I'm wondering where my family should invest money to catch the AI wave. I genuinely don't know. I literally do not know. I guess like if you want to catch the AI wave, what you can do, and again, this is not financial advice, I have to say it. But like what I would do, like let's say I have a lot of money. I would go to a country where electricity is cheap, probably Canada, and find out what you need in order to make a server farm for an AI to run, right? So like you need to build yourself the ability to house the requirements for an AI, and then like try to convince a company to use your facilities. That's what I would do, right? So, who knows? Like basically partner with a company that has an AI. There are many AIs right now, but the reason they aren't available to the public is exactly due to the fact that it requires so much power to run them. Right now, most of the AIs you can use are on Google Colab, but if you use Google Colab too much, they kick you off. Because it's not supposed to be used for people to spank to their waifus. So, that would be my suggestion. Find an electric power plant, okay? Strap that to a server, and then try to convince a company that is making AI to house their AI there. It depends on the AI, right? So like if you want to run a text AI, that's a lot more difficult than running Stable Diffusion. A single 80 gigabytes of VRAM GPU is 20,000, and you need multiple for only a handful of users. Yeah. Well, you asked me where to invest money, right? So you need to build that. You need to provide the server for the people with the AI. So it would be like the landlord. Anyway. Thank you, Evil Kitty of Doom, for helping V. Wait, thank you, Crafty Hugarok, for helping me. No, for helping Kitty help me. There we go. Bianca fights the zombie. I actually missed Bianca fights the zombie. Why are so many regulars coming back now? Like, where have you guys been? I missed you. Should I put Bianca as a moderator? I will put Bianca. She used to be a moderator. But anyway. Sounds like Amazon AWS servers. Yeah. That's literally how they're making money. Whatever happened to Mr. Obvious? Mr. Obvious, if I am not mistaken, had 2 strikes on his channel. He did not want to risk losing his YouTube, so now he's laying low. I may be mistaken with this. I do not know if he ever got the 3rd. But I do know that he got strikes and he just shut down his channel for a while and is just blowing off steam. Which is very unfortunate because I really like this channel, but what can you do? Since you like AI so much, you should watch Barbarian, the anime movie. Dude, when do you think I have the time? I have to make 4 videos a day, a live stream, and work on my video game. I literally do not have the time. They came back because of Conan? Oh, that is a good point. I didn't come back because of Conan. By the way, the special effects in Conan, wow, so mind-blowing. Like when the ghosts are coming in order to rescue Conan, in order to take Conan away, and he gets rescued by the chica. Those were some really great special effects. But the problem that the thing that I remarked was that even though, like, you have a strong woman in Conan, she's not unrealistic. Like, she doesn't clash swords with the guys. Did you notice that? Like, she usually just dodges the other guy's sword and then stabs him. And that's it. Battle over. Like, she's not... She is portrayed in a way where you can see that happening, right? Like... if you have a guy that's not skilled with a sword fighting against a woman that has been training, and she just manages to dodge his blow, like he telegraphs his moves or whatever, and she dodges his blow and then stabs him, Yeah, she wins. And most of the scenes, like, I've never seen her, like, struggling with the man. Like, you know, like, the man, like, clashing swords and it's like, like, being pushed away by evil lady. Or her, like, kicking and punching men and they're like, oh my god, it hurts so much. No, like, she has a sharp object. And she sticks people with it. And it was like, yeah, that's believable. The only time, I guess, she clashed swords is, like, when she came back as a Valkyrie. Like, that was the only time where she actually clashed swords and she was... But, like, I genuinely... Yeah, it was a Dex build. But I genuinely liked the fact that it looked realistic. You know, like, the only time she did some crazy shit was when she ran that wall, right? She did a little bit of a wall running and stabbed the guy. That's probably unrealistic, but it's far more realistic than thinking women can fight with raw power. Well, you know, like, the whole movie doesn't try to copy realism. I mean, let's be honest. You have, like, 2 people against, like, how many riders? There were, like, 20 riders, right? So Conan and, what was the name? Yozumo? Yeah, Yasuo? Well, whatever. Conan and his friend. Forgot his name. I'm sorry. There wasn't that much dialogue. They didn't say his name too often. But, like, Conan and his friend, right? Like, they take down, like, 20 riders. Like, that's not realistic, okay? Like, they're never going to be able to do that. But it was like, believable. Yeah, like, a woman with a sharp object, right? Like, if she stabs you, you're dead. I definitely can believe that. 1890s movies had strong female characters that actually made sense. Not really. I mean, Xena Warrior Princess doesn't make sense, okay? But, like... Neither does Buffy. Well, actually, Buffy makes sense because, like, she was magical girl type of thing, right? Like, she was empowered by magic to fight vampires. Will you talk a bit about EU's chat control bill? Oh shit, I don't know about that. I'll have to research it. What about Red Sonja? I remember so much toxic. I do not know Red Sonja. I don't think I have seen it. But again, like, there were many that had unrealistic versions of women as well in the 90s. But at least they weren't that cringe. So again, like Xena, right? Like Xena has the same formula that Hercules had. Like Hercules and Xena were both unrealistic. You have, like, 20 guys coming up, and they want to beat up Xena, right? So what they do is, like, 15 of them just circle her, and they move in a circle, right? And they come at her, like, 1 or 2 at a time. And she beats them up. And then they fall on the ground. And then they stay down for the entire fight scene. And after she beats all the 20 guys, they all get up and run away. Like, literally, every single fight scene in Hercules and Xena is literally the same. Like, you have people just walking around in a circle, just spinning around her. And, like, 1 or 2, like, you should watch it. It's hilarious. What is my normal schedule? And can you get on Rikieta Law stream? I would help the grift. If Nick wants to invite me to talk about anything, yeah, sure, I would get on his stream. Hercules was a demigod. No, that wasn't the problem, right? Like, it wasn't the thing that Hercules was able to beat people. That's fine. But the way they were fighting was the same. Like if 40 people attacked Hercules, they would spin around him. Like they would make a big circle around Hercules. And they would start running in a circle. And from that circle, 1 or 2 people would attack Hercules at a time. Like, they wouldn't just gang up on him, right? Like, they wouldn't just do like Agent Smith did to Neo. And they pile up on him, which is, like, what makes sense. No, like, they would just spin around, and all of the shows from that time had the same formula. So there was, like, Sinbad the Sailor, Adventures of Young Hercules. I'm trying to think of more, but, like, all of them had the same formula. The difference with Rose Sonja was she was a beefy actress. She was taller than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. Anyway, right. Thank you guys for watching. I need to go make videos on my main channel now. Thank you for the donations. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, I'll see you guys on my other channels. Take care.